we see on the other side, stepping in, Amanda Butler, who, as you can see, has a history of winning the 2018-2019 ACC Coach of the Year. And we were at their shoot-around. She talked about how she loves the energy within that shoot-around, but the focus and understanding how important this game is to open up league play is so important.
Yeah, energy is great, but it's nothing without that focus and without that execution. And that's what Clemson's going to have today.
Our officials for today, we have Karen Priato, Billy Smith, Ashley Gloss on the call for today.
Clemson starting out, getting a turnover from their 2-3 zone, and you see Ruby Whitehorn, the first McDonald's All-American recruited by Clemson, coming to play today.
You can see the full court press for Clemson as well, slowing down NC State, averaging about 80 points per game, third best in the ACC. You can see the starting five for the Wolfpack.
And we talked earlier today in the shoot-around, without a point guard, NC State, how are they going to be in that half-court offense?
With 5 on the shot clock, how about Sanaya Rivers on cue, stepping up for the tray?
Oh, there's a good answer there. Good execution, good patience. Nice smooth shot there.
For Clemson starting five, you can see different players have been able to step up. Ruby Whitehorn has been a pleasure to watch as she can't connect on that three for the response. But Whitehorn, as you mentioned, the only McDonald's All-American in Brooklyn history to come in, and she's been a huge force. How about that? Mimi Collins was not going to be denied on that shot.
And you'll see NC State, they'll try to transition and get into the fast break offense where they don't have to, do so much with that half court. Without a point guard, it's really, there's some nuances when you have a true point guard, in terms of timing, in terms of placement of players and where they're supposed to be. So their defense and their rebound is going to be key to their transition offense.
See Westmore, head coach, 10th season. But none better when you're looking at how he's been able to win within the ACC. 3 straight regular season ACC titles. Was able to match that as well with the conference ACC title as well in the tournament. Seeing if they can repeat here. Pick 3rd in the ACC is Bradford. Dials up from distance and hits back iron.
And how Clemson deals with the length on the perimeter from the guards defensively for NC State. As you see Collins here make a three-pointer. She was on in pregame before warm-ups with that three-pointer.
Definitely carrying it over. Back-to-back buckets for Collins. She's sitting at 5. That's 5 of NC State's first 8. Hobby with the rebound. Sanaya Rivers, who's been able to step in for Diamond Johnson when she rolled her ankle. Missing her 3rd game. Quick turnaround. I think that was more of a heat check. Can't get that one to fall.
Well, Collins is a player that can turn you from inside or out. As you see Nunu Bradford there. She's going to take a lot of shots. She's a high-volume shooter. She's on. It's good for Clemson.
She's already hit 15 on the season, shooting about 37% from distance. Gets in the passing lane there, disrupting the pass. Bree Perfectman is able to get an easy deuce on the left side.
2 turnovers out of 5 possessions here in the half-court offense. Make it 3 for NC State.
And that was close to just really silencing the crowd on that one. As Deja Bradford has been one of those constant players and consistent on the defensive end, putting both sides together so far for Clemson. Open shooter, Madison Hayes for the triple.
Well, Hayes has been a player that hasn't scored a lot, but really hustles and gives them opportunities with rebounds and steals. So good to see her on the board offensively for NC State.
Averaging about 8 points. As quickly, how about Amari Robinson? We talked about what she needed to do to be a little bit different in the offseason. She said, I'm adding that 3 ball to my game. As you can see, that's the next one that's been dropped down for Clemson.
Well, and that's good for them because Camille Hobby's not going to come all the way out there. If she can continue to hit that, it would be good for them.
Fast-paced game as another bucket goes down. Zakia Brown-Turner now on the board.
And that's big for Coach Westmore. Everything's about rebounding, getting out extra opportunities.
We didn't like her look at the rim, so backs it out. still have a lot of time on the clock. Robinson turns down the three. Rivers sends it up to Madison Hayes. Board for Wolfpack. So 2 old boards in this possession. Kia Brown-Turner with a lot of time. Short on the shot. Deja Bradford in a burst, getting all the way to the rim. Had a little bit of contact there, but is able to get the 2. She now has 5 points.
When you miss those threes, you create opportunities, fast break opportunities for the defense. You see there in transition for Clemson.
Halfway through the first quarter, 1-point game, NC State up 1. Double team on Hobby.
Love the defensive energy for Clemson. Again, trying to disrupt that half-court offense.
Officials, timeout on the court.
Well, Clemson creating opportunities for themselves. As you see Bradford here on the fast break. Try to block me if you want tonight, Rivers.
On defense, right now they've been able to score off of those 3 turnovers from NC State.
Yeah, she talked about the energy on both ends of the floor and getting high possessions here. And so far, they forced 4 turnovers for NC State. They've got 7 points off those turnovers. And that's, again, remember I talked earlier about continuity in that half-court offense when you don't have that point guard that's sort of making sure that everybody's where they're supposed to go, and the timing on that. People are unsure of where they need to be. And Clemson's energy has given them an opportunity.
All about energy for Coach Butler as they right now are forcing them into a late shot clock. 1 on the shot clock as she has to heave it up and come down with the rebound. Whitehorn stops on a dime, back iron. So NC State is able to get a stop in that possession, and coming out of that timeout, are there any different things you want to see from the Wolfpack?
I'd like to just see more patience, and if you're not hitting shots, they need to crash the boards harder. Right? Give themselves more opportunity if the shots aren't falling.
That attempted trap on the sideline. Maddie Ott picks up her first personal foul. Since the level of pressure from the Tigers is being in their spaces, Mimi Collins still has a hot hand from how she started the first quarter.
Yeah, good job finding the gap in that 2-3. They start off on out of bounds and player-to-player defense, but switch back to that 2, so the patience to find the gap.
Averaging 7 points per game, and she's already hit that mark. And a quick response for Clemson, Alasia Douglas.
She's key for them off the bench. Missed the last couple of games, but she's a really good three-point shooter, really good penetrator, and gives them an opportunity here. And obviously a good defensive player taking the charge there. They haven't had her for the last couple of games, and they've really struggled with production off the bench.
Junior college transfer from Western Nebraska. You could see here the forearm going up, Coach.
Yeah, I know as officials, I hate to make that call because no one agrees with, half people agree with them and half of them don't. But she did have that forearm out there.
So Alasia Douglas getting things done on both ends of the floor. Top of your screen, you talked about her being a very good three-point shooter. That's just her 6th 3 on the season, but doesn't hesitate if she's left open.
So you've got 3 subs on the floor here with Kiana Gaines, Douglas, and Ott. Trying to find some offense for Clemson. And again, just steady. Amari Robinson.
So Amari Robinson now has 6 points. Would you ever guess that all of those points would be coming from distance?
She has that ability. Has not shot a whole lot today. And then, well, Hayes says, if you can do it, I can do it too.
It's been raining threes. And Madison Hayes responds with a 3 of her own. Off. The Tigers quite a bit there as NC State. There's Timmons. Nice look on the inside, almost broken up by Elmore. Up and down, they will call it a jump ball. possession arrow going to the Tigers.
You see Amari Robinson here. Well, if you're not going to guard me, it's going straight up. That's a three. And NC State, Hayes comes back. I can do that too.
We've already seen 8 threes in this ball game. We're tied at 18 with 2:23 left in the first quarter. We talked about how important the pace was going to be for both teams. Who was going to establish their style of play? Can you say or differentiate who has been able to do that so far?
Well, I think Clemson has been the aggressor on defense, and they've been able to get more of what they're usually getting. As you see, defense here by Brown Turner. Clemson has got more offense from their defense, and that's honestly good for NC State there to get transition buckets.
So Dakia Brown Turner gets the pick six. And a nice little Euro step to finish it off, but I tell you what, Deja Bradford, I don't think you can ask for a better start from her.
She's a streaky shooter. She's hitting. That's great for Clemson.
You mentioned it, 8 points already, averaging close to 10 points per game. But last game, she had 22 points. Looks for her time to score. River Baldwin, trapped on the baseline, only 7 seconds to go. It's almost like Clemson is playing with 8 players. Douglas with the left. Can't get it to fall in. Hannah Hank thought she was in the right position, but falls out of bounds, so we'll go back to the Wolfpack.
Well, Clemson doing a great job in their 2-3 defense of trapping and taking time off the clock. NC State's trying to have to make something happen with under 10 seconds on the clock, and they're struggling with that.
So Clemson with the 1-point lead. With 71 seconds left to go in the first quarter. That says it all for Westmore with his hands up like, what's going on at this point? They're just trying to take care of the ball. Already 6 turnovers for the Wolfpack. And how about another one?
Now, there's where NC State struggles. Obviously, you don't have your point guard in there. The one loss that they've had is because they had too many turnovers. When they lost to UConn, they had 19 turnovers. First 15 points for UConn was scored off of NC State turnovers, so they've got to take good care of the basketball.
That too, and how they're running in the passing lanes. My goodness, Bradford, have yourself a night. Nunu Bradford, she likes to go by now with 10 points. The only player in double figures in the first frame. Less than a minute to play. Another steal by Bradford. She might have a triple-double to close out the first quarter. And the and one.
Again, Clemson just being aggressive. They talked about getting in the passing lane. They talked about tips today and deflections and getting their offense high possession from their defense. NC State really struggling playing against that 2-3 zone. That's the second possession in a row where they got below 10 seconds on the shot clock, and nothing good has happened for them.
All right, well, on Thursday, December 29th, we'll have a women's basketball doubleheader right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. At 6 Eastern, the number 5 Notre Dame travels to Coral Gables to take on Miami. Then Duke takes the short drive to Reynolds Coliseum. Face the 8 NC State. How about Notre Dame slipping past Virginia Tech in that top 10 showdown earlier today?
It's going to be a good year. Going to be competitive.
How lucky are we that we get to call this league? So much depth. You have 4 different teams that are in the top 10. And it's a slugfest every single night. Mimi Collins with 9 points has been the answer for NC State, but they need a little bit more of it. 5 to work with. Robinson all the way to the bucket and gets it.
Amari Robinson.
So Robinson now with 8 points. Her and Bradford have had themselves a first quarter. Clemson on a 10-2 run to end the first. They were talking about Pat Summitt being on that roster as well. 2 icons on that roster. Just seeing how many different women have been able to impact the game and how we continue to feel it and reap the fruit from it at this point.
Yeah, what you see today obviously sold out, and that was the genesis, the beginning of the coverage for women's basketball that a lot of players now take for granted.
And really know one of the greatest coaches she had was just saying how the women's game is going to grow so much as River Baldwin is able to beat the buzzer on that one. One of the greatest things in how this game is going to continue to grow is that you're not going to be able to walk up to the box office at a women's basketball game and get a ticket. What a moment right now as NC State has their 7th sellout game with 5,500 people in the building to cheer on their Wolfpack.
Yeah, it's a great atmosphere here today, and I know Coach Westmore and this program, they're very appreciative of the fans for NC State that continue to come out and support them.
Zaya James picks up her first personal foul. 4-point lead for Clemson. They shot close to 60% in the first quarter. Deja Bradford erupted. Robinson left alone once again from deep, short on the shot, but they're able to track down another old board.
Yeah, and that's a problem for NC State is the people that they have on Robinson, which is, Hobby and Baldwin, they're not going to come out there, so they need to make an adjustment. Maybe put Hayes or Collins on her because they can get out there and play her on the perimeter. Right now, she's a mismatch for the inside for NC State.
Coming into this ball game, she only hit 4 trays, knowing that's been her focus. She's already hit 2 tonight. Got to make the adjustment. Beautiful pass on the inside by Rivers to River Baldwin. River to River.
Well, just a miscommunication there with Amari Robinson going out, playing the forward, and a nice little ball fake there. Again, just high IQ from Rivers.
Clogging up the paint, the Wolfpack. Forced shot by Hannah Hank. Baldwin. Too strong.
Yeah, NC State only getting 1 opportunity.
Whitehorn with a beautiful scoop pass on the inside. I'm not sure if Amari Robinson was ready for it, but she had the numbers in transition. Talked about the advantage for Clemson in transition. 10 points for fast break. 10-2 advantage against the Wolfpack. 3 all the way to the rim. Amari Robinson is able to clean it up, but can't quite get the look that she wanted underneath.
She was looking for a foul. Yeah, Clemson's been able to run from missed shots and from the turnovers, obviously, in that first quarter. NC State's got to, when they've been successful against this zone, it's been right there at that free throw line area. Find a way to continue to exploit that, because anytime they go short corner, they get trapped and they don't get anything off with under 10 seconds on the shot clock.
Brown Turner can't connect. Clemson still looking for their first bucket of the quarter. There's a lot of contact there, but Clemson still has the ball. Well, we have a college basketball doubleheader for you Wednesday night right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Number 24, Virginia Tech is in Chestnut Hill to take on Boston College in their first game at 6:30 Eastern. Then Florida State hosts Notre Dame in Tallahassee. These are the final games for these two before the holiday break. 4 seconds on the shot clock. Mattiak drains it.
And you know you got the vibe when you're hitting those kinds of shots.
She's a three-point shooter, already has 14 on the season.
She doesn't play a lot, but they do look for her on the perimeter when she's in there. That's why they put her in the game.
Tia Brown Turner tries to respond, can't get one, and Whitehorn snatches that one right out of the air. Going back to Mattiak. Mattiak last year got her first career start versus NC State. She had 14 points, and guess what? Hit 4 threes as well in that one. James, who was red hot against Davidson, gets the old board, and Mimi Collins with 11.
Collins only averaged like 2 points last year, 2 points a game, and she has really, really been a huge factor for NC State this year so far.
Averaged 7 points, 3 straight starts, had 19 points against UGA as well. She's been on fire, scored 5 or more points in the last 10 games and continues to trek it. Whitehorn, the super freshman.
And I think Clemson needs to do more of that for her, setting screens on the ball and letting her go to work against the defender. A sarcastic clap by the NC State crowd for the foul call.
A couple of substitutions. That's Kiana Gaines as well as Michaela Elmore checking the ball game for Clemson.
Got James in the game for her 3-point shooting. Obviously, she hasn't really gotten an opportunity today, but they need her to get going against Davidson. Obviously, she played well, 4 or 5 from 3-point range.
Talked about the pace and just taking care of the ball. They got a nice look from Mimi Collins, but one of the questions was who's going to be able to be that player that steps up for Diamond Johnson. That's a huge blow, understanding what she is for this team, a true floor general.
Yeah, and the thing about Diamond Johnson is she understands nuance. When do I need to be the woman, or when do I need to set up, one of my teammates as a response to our opponent's scoring? Nice high-low available there.
River Baldwin had to readjust in the air, gets the 2. She now is sitting at 6 points.
Yeah, exploiting that matchup there, the high-low. You don't see NC State do high-low per se, but the opportunity was there.
Transfer from FSU right now leads the team in rebounding. 4 different players on this squad that are averaging more than 4.
Clemson not getting the turnovers here in this second quarter that they got in that first quarter. They haven't been able to run as much and get points in the paint like they did in that first quarter.
And they scored 5 points in this quarter. They have 28 points in the first frame, as it's a 3-point ball game with a little under 4 minutes to go in the half. Elmore dishes it off to Robinson, going against Baldwin. Spins in, is a little short on the shot. Robinson slow to get up. Rivers dishes it off to James. We saw that a time or 2 against Davidson.
Yeah, she had 19 points against Davidson. That's what they bring her in there for. And you're getting, again, off transition, not having to run that half-court offense.
James now with her first bucket of the ball game. Crowd on their feet. Douglas, short. So we're sitting at a tie ball game, 33-all, with Isaiah James saying, I hit 5 from here a game ago. Heating up in this one.
With the award-winning Geico mobile app, our
Bill
customer
has joined the call.
Hey,
In double figures.
Yeah, she's a player that she could start in some other places. I mean, she's a veteran. She can shoot inside, she can shoot outside. She really helped bust that zone there at the free throw line area. And she's been big for them as well. Right there, just exploiting the free throw line area. She was an X factor, but not anymore. She is somebody that they really come to depend on.
And how about this? The true student athlete in her internship is also able to step aside with the ACC Network crew and look at that role. You could tell the football players were like, we're not sure if we should get in the photo with you, because she's really lighting it up so far for the Wolfpack.
She is very serious with her assignments.
The creative video intern. It's a nice win. Players can find opportunities to continue to build in their craft, and it goes well beyond just what they do on the floor.
NC State coming out, going straight inside and getting Hobby and then getting a turnover here. Big shift between that first quarter and the second quarter defensively, for Clemson. They weren't getting the turnovers that they got in that first quarter, and they weren't able to get the transition baskets.
I love this coach's corner with you. This is really nice. We'll have to get some talk, break it down.
I've had my own section, right? My own breakdown. I like that.
5 lead changes in this ball game as NC State builds on that and brings it to a 4-point lead. 9-0 run by the Wolfpack. You talked about the adjustments. Some things you mentioned what Clemson wasn't doing in that second quarter, but now what are the Wolfpack doing in order to shift things around?
Well, they're just being more patient, and they're getting better position in the post so that, obviously Hobby has an opportunity to go one-on-one with her defender. And then Clemson not able to put the same type of pressure in the zone that they did in the first quarter, so NC State able to get opportunities. And again, second opportunity. First quarter, they weren't getting those second opportunities.
It's interesting to use the word depth in this ball game right now as Bradford almost came up with another steal. Only 8 players available for NC State, but not a deep bench for Clemson. A tie-up on the floor. And this one's going to go back to the Tigers.
Almost like there's a depth, lack of depth, cancel each other out. You know what I mean? You got just 8 on 8, really. We have not seen Ruby Whitehorn do what she's capable of doing, so interesting to see if they'll get her more involved in the offense.
I think that was a very interesting conversation we were having with Coach as well, Amanda Butler, just what it's like. She's been tested throughout this non-conference schedule and going against a lot of great talent as Bradford was able to draw the foul there, step up to the line for 2, but being a freshman and knowing that you can impact and really catch a lot of people off guard early in the season is different when you get into ACC play.
Yeah, you've had 11 games of film for coaches to watch, and they should be able to figure out, what you're good at. She's obviously a great athlete. Right now, still a two-level score, not a great three-point shooter, but the intensity is ratcheted up when you get into league play. And as a freshman, you have to figure out, if they stop me from doing X, how do I do Y? How do I get more involved? And then also, it's a coaches too.
Wednesday is National Signing Day for football, and we have you covered right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. We'll have our annual special breaking down all the ACC recruits, taking you through each school with highlights and evaluations. Coverage of the 1-hour show begins at 3 Eastern. Crew down there that has everything going. The full court trap by Clemson, trying to see if they can speed the Wolfpack up. Hobby. Very interesting there. It seemed like that was a clean block.
Well, NC State doing a great job of attacking after they get it over that second level. And that's what you want to do. She's looking for the one-on-one opportunity really for Hayes there, but Hobby coming up with it.
Amari Robinson picks up her first personal foul. And Hobby drains it.
Hobby, a great story, obviously having to play behind Tulane for all those years, and then today's, recruiting environment made the decision to, wait it out, stick it out, and get her time. And I think she's a great player. I love her confidence. She has these little subtle body language moves that she does to say, when she scores it, you guys can't guard me. There's Whitehorn going through the hole and getting a charge call there.
And we talked about just how people are going to scout you. And most of her moves go to the right side or either to the paint. So that's another example of just the next level on what she's going to learn throughout the ACC.
Yeah, and that's a commitment to watching film, too, on a daily basis to see what they're doing to you and how you can mitigate that.
So Whitehorn picks up the foul. Bradford, love the intensity on the defensive end. 11-1 run for the Wolfpack over the last 4 minutes. Brown Turner almost coughed it up. 3 seconds on the shot clock. James! Her second 3 of the night.
NC State doing a better job of just being patient, making the right pass against the zone for Clemson.
8-point lead. This is the biggest lead for the Wolfpack. Clemson with an opportunity to have the last shot of the half. Whitehorn. No one to help. So that's the 5th turnover for Clemson. Whitehorn will take a trip to the bench, as well as Elmore.
Only 3.9 seconds here. Watch for maybe a back screen to clear somebody going to the basket.
Solid backcourt to Brown-Turner, and that would have definitely left everyone going crazy.
Well, Isaiah James says, you know what? I did it against Davidson. Let me try one more time here. I am 2 for 2 from three-point range.
Well, I don't think we can ask for a better way to start here. Clemson right now was off to a hot start.
Bradford started off, but they have, aside from Robinson, they have 0 points from their post score. So that's a problem for Clemson.
You read that one there, Nate. We talked about sharing the ball as the Wolfpack start the half off with the rock. 13 assists on 17 made field goals. They had the hot hand in the second quarter.
Clemson decided to stay in that zone. Great pass there, even though the shot was missed from Amari Robinson.
Whitehorn, who didn't have the best first half.
The second had 5 shots in that first half. That's not enough for her. She's the second leading scorer for Clemson.
We talked about that 29 points from her as Hannah Hake has the first points of the second half.
When they score, it allows them to set up their press.
How about the beautiful touch from Camille Hobby?
So for the first 2 possessions, you get scores from the post player. You get Hannah Hake for Clemson and Camille Hobby for NC State.
Senior from Jacksonville, Florida. Also able to graduate as well, had some family in town. Father is the defensive line coach for the Cincinnati Bengals. He was in attendance. I know he's happy of her. And she, on cue, was able to pull down the rebound as well. A little misconnection between Rivers and Ja'Quia Brown-Turner. Perfect man couldn't come down with the 2.
That's not a great pass there. They've exploited that. You've got to have a shot. Oh, nice block to make up for it. Now they know you're going to go to that free throw line area now, so NC State's got to use some pass fakes and use a skip pass. Yeah, see right there at the free throw line, and AC Bradford every once in a while takes one of those shots. It's not great, but Ja'Quia Brown-Turner there making up for the miscue with the block shot.
Working in, picked up the foul on the other end is.
Well, that's what you don't want is Robinson getting a foul, it's her second foul on the perimeter there. You need her in the game.
Amari Robinson picking up her second personal foul. We talked about how she has to wear a lot of different hats on this team and has to stay on the floor, no doubt.
Turner might have wanted a little bit more patience there. Took that shot with 19 seconds to go. Now, here's the interesting thing. Bradford started off playing really well. You know, she's going to continue to take those shots, and you see a really nice layup there by Hayes. Are those shots going to fall for Bradford in the second half?
Coach, you know, as there's a nice look on the inside, Whitehorn close to knocking that one down. Instead, she'll get a trip to the free throw line and we'll get 2.
Again, deflections, tips. Hayes here going to the basket. Going off the wrong foot, still making the score.
Camille Hobby picks up her second personal foul as Whitehorn knocks down the first one. Well, we have a college basketball doubleheader for Wednesday night right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Virginia Tech is in Chestnut Hill to take on Boston College in their first game at 6:30 Eastern. Then Florida State hosts Notre Dame in Tallahassee. These are the final games for both teams before the holiday break. We talked about in years past in the ACC, you could probably play a non-conference schedule right before the break and you come back in January with a fresh slate. Now, you have no time to look past any team in December because ACC play is here.
Well, you're right into it as soon as sometimes before pre-conference is over.
Teams that already started off ACC play back in November, which is very interesting to even say. 5 on the shot clock for Clemson. Robinson needed that bucket. They were 0 for their last 5. That breaks the streak there. 10 points for Amari Robinson.
Clemson sticking with that zone. You just got to be patient and take what they give you. And that baseline area is going to be open. You see every possession there. That forward comes up and plays that first pass. If she doesn't get to the baseline quick enough, they're going to have a shot there.
Talked about how it's going to be a dogfight every single day. Look at this preseason. Week 6, we're looking at different teams in the top 25. A couple that stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, just 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the polls there. I mean, it's there's not going to be an easy game any night, and I think in the long run for the teams that do well, that will serve them well with the net rankings and things like that, because every night they're going to be going against, you know, a top team. It's going to be great for their schedule, strength of schedule.
Kiana Gaines checks in the ball game. Check in for Ruby Whitemore.
That's a kid that I think has so much potential for Clemson, just hasn't been able to realize it yet. Clearly the best athlete on the team, great basketball player, just hasn't really figured it out yet.
Saw her just smacking backboard, almost touching the rim. And a few of those rebounds. Coach said, okay, we love to see it, but now get some more rebounds for us if you don't mind.
That's a great contested shot made by Bree Perpignan there over Sanaya Rivers.
Perpignan now with 7 points. Rivers opens up like the Red Sea and gets another bucket.
NC State just being aggressive and taking what the defense gives them in transition. A couple missed shots by Clemson, allowing them to run.
Second field goal of the day, but I think it's very interesting for Sanaya Rivers, a sophomore coming in, the transfer from South Carolina. The difference in her game, you talked about the confidence, but over the last 2 games, 8 assists, only 1 turnover.
You know, I watched her in her very first game as a freshman, and she, quite frankly, looked like a deer in the headlights, but the maturity and the confidence, as you see Hayes there, for Sanaya Rivers over this last year has been really nice to see. And I love Madison Hayes. Like, she just, you don't see a whole lot on the stat sheet, but she's so important for NC State being on the floor.
8 points for Hayes. Hobby tried to fake on the outside. Malaysia Douglas didn't go for it. Not the forearm, and Sanaya Rivers just said, not my house.
Well, Sanaya Rivers has just improved so much over the last year. A lot of confidence going to the basket, using her skill. Great for NC State.
See all these amazing sweaters that come out. Mine was left in dry cleaning, Coach. I'm sorry, I can't help you there. Even Grinch Green, Coach Amanda Butler has on her nails right now, but she's too busy working about the adjustments for NC State, mainly because of the length from NC State, because they're all over the floor on the defensive end.
Yeah, anybody that plays against NC State, you're going to struggle with that. They've got players that can guard on the perimeter. Jada Boyd, who's not playing today, at 6'2". They got Sanaya Rivers at 6 foot. And then Madison Hayes at 6 foot. And then you've got Collins, who's 6'3", who can guard on the perimeter, who's playing a great game today. 14 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 0 turnovers.
Wow.
And she's not the X factor anymore. She is an integral part of NC State's on both ends of the floor.
They're going to clip that off and put it on their highlight tape. Beautiful. Right out of the break.
3-point basket.
Hank knocks down another shot. She's been one of those players, we said we needed to see a little bit more from her from the floor, but she's had some key buckets.
Just the defense there, a little bit too much in the lane and leaving her on the fast break. You got to find her. She's not going to run to the rim. She's going to run to the three-point line.
Seven-point lead for the Wolfpack. Elmore couldn't quite connect.
Coach giving her encouragement there, but she's another player that, yes, she's a post player, but she prefers to stay outside. Not going to do too much there inside in terms of your traditional post play, and it's great when she makes that shot, but when she struggles, it hurts Clemson.
And the high hopes for Elmore as well, just one of the most decorated players coming out of Ohio, All-Ohio Player of the Year. Still working herself as James is able to draw the foul. That one's going to go against Hannah Hank.
So I like NC State. They've been able to execute in the half court, and they've been able to execute good opportunities in transition. In that first quarter, they really struggled in the half court, so they've settled down a little bit now.
Talked about that for Clemson. Shot 57% in the first quarter and dropped down to 15 in the second. Well, we've seen some fans across the ACC, and now we need your help. This winter, ACC Network wants to experience each sport from your perspective. So snap a pic or take a video, tag it with hashtag #AllTheDevotion, and post it to your socials. Just might see it on the ACC Network.
Did you post our pic?
You know what? I gotta post it. This game has just been so back and forth. I don't have enough time to do anything else but have this great conversation with you. I got you though, for sure. All the devotion. Hashtag all the devotion. Approaching that 3-minute mark here in the third quarter as Bradford sends it off to Hannah Hank at the top of the key. Whitehorn cleans up for the rebound, gets the bucket as well.
Shot. Just adjusted herself in the air around the defense. They need to get her going.
Let's see why she's a Jordan Brand All-American. How about James saying I got a little lift of my own?
I mean, that's a really good one, too. We got a show here. Whitehorn adjusting in the air, and then the Euro step, taking the contact and scoring by James. She said, I'm not just a three-point shooter. I can get to the basket as well.
Coach, you know this too, just the balance in the offense when someone has to fly out at you after you knock down a couple of triples. What's next?
And if you're a three-point shooter, you've got to add that aspect to your game, because in the scouting report, they're going to say, make her put it on the floor. And just done a really good job there of getting to the basket.
Can't complete the three-point play. James does have 9 points off of the bench, though.
Clemson bringing in Inyang. We talked earlier with Coach about her and her ability. She is a traditional post player. We'll see if they can get some opportunities from her.
Whitehorn stopped by James. 5 to work with. Beautiful dish on the inside. Inyang on cue. Whitehorn just streaks through and gets the deuce.
Clemson again turning up that defense.
4-point ball game. Clemson giving the number 8 team in the nation all they've got.
These last few possessions on defense look like the first quarter for Clemson. Aggressive in the passing lane. NC State being unsure with their passes. Another almost turnover there. Nice dish there for Perpignan to Inyang. And then defense just hands in the air and in the passing lane from Whitehorn. Just being aggressive. You're NC State. You can't make those long, floaty passes against the zone, against the press. You've got to be crisp and short with those and get it over that first line and then attack, because that's when you're going to have the numbers.
Straight out of Detroit to see Whitehorn. One of those players that continues to just show up. Really starting to put things together in the second half. Clemson wanted the backcourt.
I think they have a point there. I don't think it was a Brown Turner hits a shot. I didn't think that a Clemson player touched that.
And then they get 2 points out of it. 90 seconds left in this third quarter. Opinion. Rivers on her. 3 dishes to Indiang. Little off the mark. Bodies flying everywhere. Whitehorn comes up. And one.
Well, Indiang comes in and proves her worth. And, Coach, you got to play her more. We talked about that earlier. I wondered why she hadn't played much, but she's been under the weather and not had an opportunity to practice. But here, Whitehorn has just been really active here in this third quarter, and then you see the potential for the and one for Indiang there. Remember I said in that first half, no post players scored. Points in the paint. All their points in the paint came from transition, so this is a good sign for Clemson. 52-56. This fourth quarter is going to be awesome.
Unbelievable right now. Inno sitting at 4 points, knocks down the free throw for a fifth. She didn't score in their previous game. But on both sides, you can say when your number is called, you got to be ready to deliver. And so far, Clemson has been able to show glimpses of that as well.
We're going to see how NC State's going to react to this, because against Iowa, they struggled, but they were able to overcome that. But that was when they had Diamond Johnson at the point guard. So it's going to be interesting to see how they react this fourth quarter.
A lot of bodies on the inside. Tia Brown-Turner tried to see if she can get a nice look, and River Baldwin, little tussle with Amari Robinson. You think it matters?
I think it matters. I think the possession and the want to of getting that ball matters to both these teams. It's great to see.
So the jump ball goes to the Tigers. I think another thing to look at is just who's dominating the glass. Right now, the Wolfpack winning in that department by a +10.
We all know that's one of the favorite things for, the staples for Coach Moore is getting on the glass on both ends of the floor. He's asking for one shot here.
Coach said that is the most important thing for me, rebounding, creating more opportunities out of it. Mimi Collins slows things down. 10 seconds left in this third quarter. 3-point ball game. Tia Brown-Turner, it could extend. It actually does. On cue, 9 points to close out the third quarter. And they have the 6-point lead as we go into the fourth.
Well, Clemson here, you got the nice little NC State, nice little Euro step.
Consider fund investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses, and more in the prospectus at Invesco.com.
3 down, 1 to go. We couldn't ask for a better game as Clemson really showing us everything they have in their bag as NC State just has a 6-point lead going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and this game has just been a game of shift in momentum for each team.
I mean, and what about right out of the break, a quick bucket for the Wolfpack.
Clemson scored 19 points in that third quarter, 5 by Hank and 5 by Indiang. So Indiang getting the start here in the fourth quarter.
2 players for NC State in double figures now, Hayes as well as Collins.
Interesting that Ruby Whitehorn is not in the starting lineup here for the fourth quarter. You've got Maddie Ott instead.
So that's back-to-back buckets by Hayes, now sitting at 13, which leads to another timeout for the Clemson Tigers. Hayes with 5 points.
Well, just snatching that momentum right away here, coming out. Nice little layup here. Again, just been really crucial to them offensively, and then decides to hit the 3 there. 5 points, 41 seconds, and then I think that was a great timeout by Coach to settle her team down, because NC State just started off at a torrid pace, and just like you said, 41 seconds.
This is their biggest lead of the ball game.
So where does Clemson go here for their scoring?
Perpignan
And see, that's where Bradford's volume shooting sometimes hurts Clemson. If she's on, she's on. But if not, you know, they struggle because you're really creating offense for the other team with missed shots.
Heat check by Hayes, no good in the corner. Whitehorn back in the ball game for Clemson. Probably one of the adjustments coming out of that break. Bradford has cooled off drastically after that first quarter burst. And just a little off the target.
But you know what? If you're a coach, you're not mad at that. That's if there is such a thing as a good turnover. I mean, you are looking in the right place. You just got to clean it up.
15th turnover for NC State. They had 8 in the first quarter. You mentioned we only had 2 in the second. But nonetheless, something that Coach Moore is going to look at. A foul on the play. Hobby a little upset with the body control of Robinson on that one.
So Clemson trying to create some opportunities to go one-on-one for Robinson, that time directly in the post. Their previous time bringing her off a screen here. But again, you see people standing around.
So Whitehorn knocks that one down. 11 points now for the freshman. And another turnover. Make that 16 for NC State.
And that's just like a focus area. That's a good pass. Got to catch that. Bradford 0 for 3 here in the last 3 shots. And they've all come within maybe 6 or 7 seconds of the shot clock. And so you're shooting yourself out of this momentum that you had.
4 for 13 from the field. 11 points that Bradford does have. He's been on both ends of the floor. A couple steals in the ball game as well. Reed dishes it off. And finally rolls down for Robinson. Robinson now with 12 points on the game.
See, this is good strategy by Clemson because you don't really have a whole bunch of ball handlers in there per se. Again, we talked at the beginning. How are they going to handle the pressure without your normal point guard, Diamond Johnson, in there?
We saw it. 13 made field goals, or 13 assists on 17 made field goals at one point in the game. They'll have to heave it. Hayes tipped. And that'll be a shot clock violation, another turnover for the Wolfpack.
See, that's a good strategy because they're not really trying to steal the ball. They're just trying to eat up clock for for NC State, so they don't have an opportunity to score. Super Pinion here penetrating, and that's been really where Robinson has gotten all her points outside the paint.
Seven-point ball game. Wolfpack with the advantage.
And that's a small thing, but you have Whitehorn trying to drive, and she didn't see that Maddie Ott came to her side and brought her defenders, so it was so congested there. That's going to come with time when she learns the game and has a little bit more patience.
Assuming that Amari Robinson is going to get a quick blow. Michaela Elmore checks in the ball game for the Tigers. Another nice rebound by Whitehorn. Elmore has yet to score in this ball game.
Again, the length and the quickness by the 6-footer, on the wing there. Very difficult for the Clemson players to navigate.
So Whitehorn was looking for some type of help. Didn't get it, but instead, coach calls a timeout, working on the adjustments. 20 left in this ball game, but right now it comes down to the turnovers. We got to take care of the most important thing on the floor, and that's the rock.
Well, yeah, and you see here they had 19 turnovers against UConn, and UConn scored 27 points off of those 19 turnovers. So it's not just a mistake; it's what it leads to as well. And there's a cumulative effect with turnovers. An individual player thinks that it's just her turnover, but if they all keep saying "my bad" consistently, then that's when you get 17 turnovers in 3.5 quarters.
Turns into a bad record the coach doesn't want to hear, right?
Especially not coached for.
Yeah, 4 substitutions at the table ready for Clemson. The next dead ball. Hayes left alone, steps back. Tudong And Zakia Brown-Turner with the rebound and draws the foul.
This isn't going to show up on the stat sheet, but there have been several times tonight where Sanaya Rivers has just penetrated that zone and forced rotations that have led to open players and open shots like you just saw.
Brown-Turner steps to the line for 2. She has 9. This is her first trip to the free throw line and knocks it down. On Thursday, December 29th, we'll have a women's basketball doubleheader right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. 6 Eastern, Notre Dame travels to Coral Gables to take on Miami. Then Duke goes over to Reynolds Coliseum to face NC State. Always a nice matchup. See between those two.
Plenty of time here for Clemson. They're only down by 8.
Inye for a long, and for a second it was friendly fire. Whitehorn and Collins broken up a bit. Jump ball called, and it's going to stay with Clemson. So Billy Smith just making sure everybody is on the right page, and it seems like there was a foul that was called there too.
Watch for the inbound to lob to Whitehorn. They do this for her a lot. She didn't get an opportunity to get in there, but they usually try to give her an alley-oop underneath.
So this jump ball will now go to NC State, only a couple of ticks off the ball. It's very interesting as while Clemson is trying to look for good possessions down the stretch, this is a young team that's trying to pull things together. A couple of the times Whitehorn has had the ball. That's just the next step for her game, knowing when and where to put your foot on the gas.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to just game time experience. It goes back to having a commitment to film and, looking and seeing, slowing the game down so you don't make those mistakes that come up with empty possessions, which Clemson's had a few of when Whitehorn's had the ball.
Amy Bradford picks up the foul. Coach, we've been there a time or two, just understanding how fast this league can be in your freshman year.
This is why I'm on this side.
Oh, it's nice over here.
This is much more fun. It's easier. It's less stressful. And I'm always right.
Sanaya Rivers.
Nice view of that.
And can't get it to fall. River Baldwin gets the cleanup, but the crowd may have to wait because I think they called this one for Rivers to step up to the free throw line, not actually Baldwin.
Yeah, again, it just attacking once you get over. She's just doing it herself individually, but, she hasn't had a game where it's a lot of points or, a lot of assists, but she has really, I think, done a good job of, for the most part, of keeping this team, under control. She only has 5 points so far, but she's got 6 rebounds. And there really is no stat for controlling the team and running the offense and keeping people, on task. Yeah, doing a great job with that today.
Transfer out of South Carolina, as we mentioned. She decided to come over to NC State. Well, sometimes it's about family ties because her sister, Ronna Rivers, actually played here, was on the defensive team, the 2004 all-defensive team. So sometimes it just comes down to that. River Baldwin, they wanted the foul. Full court pass to Hayes. A lot of contact, she draws the foul.
The fans want a foul, but there's like 8 things going on at the same time by both players. So the official's just trying to be patient to figure out what the call is, and they're just, the crowd's very impatient. You can't call 8 things at once.
Oh, well, the crowd just wants, everything has to be on their side, right?
And again, if I'm the coach, I'm with the crowd. Yes, foul, foul, foul. What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm, in their ear all the time, but, they have to call what they see. Mm-hmm. I just think they do a really good job. Like, you haven't really, officials, yes, when you don't really think about them doing a game, that means they've had a great game. Their job is not easy by any stretch of the imagination.
Hayes now knocks down her 14th point. Amari Robinson put Hayes on the free throw line. That's her 3rd personal foul. And brings the second 15 points for Hayes. 2 points above her average. Just back-to-back games where she's had 15 or more points.
she and Collins have really been integral to the offense for NC State. Not just scoring, but rebounding as well.
Correction on Amari Hayes had 9 points last game, but Sanaya Rivers, hello.
There again is that length. Sanaya Rivers at 6 foot, but that wingspan, she can cover a lot of area, and Perpignan thought she was open.
It's the glance back that I love, you know?
Like, where did she go?
2 blocks for Rivers. Whitehorn up. Can't get this one to fall.
Even that was a contested shot with Hayes playing defense.
How about Baldwin protecting the paint the last couple of trips down the floor?
Yeah, she's one of those players you don't want to mess with. This is her facial expression is like, nah, I got this. One more pass.
Rivers working baseline, dishes it off to Collins. You bet.
Just again, Rivers just penetrating that zone and creating opportunities for her teammates.
Wolfpack with their biggest lead of the night with less than 4 minutes to play.
Yeah, just doing a great job on defense, man. Just really aggressive and forcing contested shots by Clemson. Great job by NC State on that end of the floor.
Rivers, who has been all over the floor in this ball game. A couple of blocks, but definitely has been able to step up. Some dimes like this.
Yeah, and she's been key to really, penetrating that zone. They struggled with that in the first half, but she's been able to get around the defenders and get in those gaps and force the help rotation and create open shot for her teammates.
Let's see their stats. At this point, Mimi Collins having quite a night for herself. She had the hot hand to start. As NC State protecting home court, they have only 1 loss on the season. We talked about that coming to UConn and tested throughout their non-conference schedule. But protecting home court.
Even there, Hayes creating other opportunities. She's just so active on both ends of the floor, and obviously tonight she's scored, but she doesn't score every game, but she's so crucial to them getting other opportunities.
And they're about 328 away from winning their 7th straight season ACC opener.
Shooting practice today, you see Amari Robinson get another opportunity. You would have thought with Wes Moore that they were, not going to win anything for the rest of the year based on his, when they were in shooting practice, and he was so not happy with how they were approaching shooting practice. But it worked because they definitely got them focused and executing.
I tell you what, the conversation we were talking about too, you lose a couple of players, obviously Hunane and Crutchfield, and they're picked 3rd in the ACC to finish. And you asked Brown Turner, how do you feel about people saying that you may or may not be one of those teams that they're looking at in the Final Four? And she said, we can put ourselves on the map. We still have a lot of depth, and those numbers are comparative at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone's, are they Final Four? Are they? Everyone's talking about what they're not, and I'm like, this is not a team full of busters. Like, these kids can play. This is a very talented team, and Wes Moore likes that. He wants them to have a chip on their shoulder. He'd rather operate that way, than being picked number 1. But she had a great point. Like, we're a different team, but we're still good.
Right. Too many steps to the bucket. You don't have 3 consecutive ACC titles without that rubbing off on you with that winning culture.
Yeah, it's the culture, it's the coaching, the player development. Wes Moore and his staff, they do an outstanding job with that. And this is the case where you've got kids who, yeah, you're shorthanded, but we're still able to do what we do and do it well.
I don't think we can speak highly enough of how Sanaya Rivers has been able to step up in that point guard position in ACC play as well, as this is her 3rd start in the absence of Diamond Johnson.
And that's a sign of a great player. Can you do these things against the best competition. She showed up against Iowa. She showed up today, in the first conference game, and she's only going to get better.
Has 9 rebounds as well. That one goes out of bounds, and you're talking about those players that have opportunities to step up for the Wolfpack. When you have 2 of your top 3 players, as far as scoring, on the bench, you ask who's going to be able to step up, but only one player that's averaging double figures takes the floor in Jakia Brown-Turner. And they're able to knock these strays down.
And this gives you a look at what you're going to need, toward the end of the conference season and going into the ACC tournament. Another steal here by Hayes. Again, that length.
Hayes, have yourself a night. Hayes, the leading scorer in this ball game with 18.
I think she's earned a little bit more playing time. What do you think?
Just a tad. Put me in, coach. She's ready to play.
Well, Hayes with the motor for NC State, hitting a three-point shot, and then just playing the D, getting another opportunity in the passing lane. Nice job by Hayes. Yeah, look at Diamond Johnson. Don't hop on the bad leg, kid. We need you for the next game.
So Madison Hayes, now with 20 points. That's her new career high. Her previous career high was 15 points against Charlotte. She was 6 for 7 from 3. And tonight, she's just been all over the floor. My goodness, we could talk about her and how she stepped up. Mimi Collins in the first half. You can go down the line about how key they've had different players. This in the beginning, at the top of the show, we said 8 different players either tied or had the leading score or led the team in scoring in those games. That means a lot to Coach Moore.
It means a lot. We were talking off air about how they will respond to the pressure. Against Iowa, they did a great job, but then they had Diamond Johnson. But how would they do today? Just look at what 5,684 points. I mean, that's just. I mean, the cumulative of what they lost is incredible. But it's a credit to the work that the players have put in. It's a credit to the coaching staff to get them to buy in and still be an effective team.
You just see the numbers at the bottom, and you're like, would they lose? A lot. But they have a lot left on that roster.
I mean, they're going to be fine. I think people sort of, I don't want to say, wrote their obituary at the beginning of the season, but you look at that and you're like, oh my God, how are you going to make up for that? And, the players just keep getting it done.
A couple of substitutions for Clemson. This one is about taking care of for the Wolfpack with their 20-point lead. With almost a minute left to play.
Yeah, at one point it was 53 to 56 when you had Inyang with that 3-point possession, and you wondered how NC State was going to react to that. And they've done it beautifully, and Rivers gets called for the charge there, I think. She can't believe it. The crowd can't believe it. No one can believe it. Let's see here. Was she outside the circle? Hard to see from that angle.
I think she got away with one. Douglas outside. Close to knocking that one down as Rivers picks up the foul there. NC State, how about them outscoring Clemson 18-4 in this fourth quarter.
So if you're Westmore, do you only show that first quarter so you have something to talk about? To make sure they understand that there's a lot of things that they need to do against, quite frankly, better teams in the ACC. They've got a lot. They've done well here, but they've got a lot to work on. And then if you're Clemson, you go back to think, what happened to us? We had that great first quarter. What happened to us the rest of the game? Started out hot and weren't able to turn the ball over and get opportunities in transition. And part of that is NC State's defense.
NC State, you can see their upcoming schedule. They have a little bit of a break. Their next game coming against Duke on the 29th. to close out the 2022 year. Less than 1 minute to play. Another turnover at the top of the key. That's going to be slowed down by James, who takes the foul there.
Foul number 10 of Zion James.
So we saw the rigor schedule coming up for NC State. Clemson has one more non-conference schedule or game against Radford. That's going to be on Tuesday. And then, hey, they see Virginia Tech on the 29th as well to close out the year. Virginia Tech with a tough loss to Notre Dame. It was 5-6. Top 10 matchup in the ACC. Florida State took the loss to UConn, rallied back. Tania Latson, 10 straight games with 20 or more points. The talent in the ACC is endless as the Wolfpack will dribble this one out and will push it to 7 straight wins. And oh, by the way, continue to protect home court and get their first win of the ACC. So we can go down the line and talk about the different players that stepped up. I think we might have time for an interview. I don't know if we can bring the whole team over since we said it's done by committee, but what's